All right, welcome back to Two Guys with Questionable Credentials with your hosts Adam and Tom. Tom, how are you doing today?
I'm all right. Last episode I was a little foggy brained for some reason. Maybe I was still a little hungover, but I'm feeling more confident about this episode. So, Adam, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to be talking about DC. And, more specifically, what got us into DC and our favorite characters in DC. So, I know I will make no, I don't think I've hidden the fact that my favorite DC character and kind of DC family is the Batman. I love everything about Batman and his the character. From starting out watching the old Batman from the 1960s with Adam West, up through watching Mask of the Phantasm, the animated series, the Tim Burton movies in the 90s. Those were they came out in the late 80s. I watched them in the 90s, right up through Batman and Robin. And then all of the Batman movies that DC Animation has come out with over the years. Some of them have been very good. Batman and the Red Hood is one of my favorites. Batman Ninja, it's very different. I didn't quite get into it as much, but, it is Batman, so I did watch it. The one that just actually it came out, I think last year that I most recently watched was Batman, but it was set in Aztec times in history, and it had the characters with who was the Spanish conquistador who landed in Cortez. I know I was going to get it at some point. How they take all the characters between the Spanish invading Mexico for the Spanish crown, and then Batman being one of the indigenous people who's, believe it or not, his family was killed by the Spanish, and then he finds a wise old Aztec warrior who then trains him. And then he takes the Spanish, the Spanish technology and creates a bat persona, and he's protected by the bat god of the Aztecs. And it's just funny how they kind of weave everything in. You have a Catwoman type character, you have a Two-Face character, you have a Joker character. So it's really cool. It's a very much of a different take on Batman, but you like Batman because he's just your everyday human. He's just a guy with, I believe, I think it was from Justice League. He is a rich kid with lots of issues and lots of money. So, that's that gets it into it. I will say, I'll put it right out there that as far as an actor playing Batman, Michael Keaton is my favorite. I don't dislike any of the actors who have played Batman over the years, but Michael Keaton is my all-time favorite. Kevin Conroy is, of course, whenever it comes to a voice, a voice animation of Batman, Kevin Conroy is the, him and Mark Hamill as the Joker are, definitely at the very top of the list there. So it, and I would say if I had to pick my favorite Batman movies or animations besides Batman the original series and Batman Mask of the Phantasm, it would be I'm drawing a blank. It's the it goes back to one of the dark novel. Why am I blanking on this right now? It's not Batman Returns, but Yeah, we might have to do some editing right here as I'm trying to think of.
Well,
The Dark Knight Returns. That's it. Yes. It goes back to a dark novel. It's funny how it takes place in Superman is in it. You have all the characters. It's essentially Bruce Wayne. The Justice League has agreed to retire.
I'm just now realizing what you're talking about.
Yeah, and Bruce Wayne, he goes along with it even though he's not completely happy with it, and it's a good 10, 15, 20 years, whatever, and then finally something draws, Gotham's going to absolute crap, and Bruce is drawn back out of retirement, and he kind of gets Gotham under control again against these gangs of guys, kind of like a mutant leader and everything. And then in the second part 2 is whenever a president of the United States who may or may not resemble Ronald Reagan then sends Superman to talk to Bruce, and it's like, dude, you agreed to retire. We all, Diana went back to the island. A bad thing happened to Green Arrow. He lost his arm. Everyone kind of went their separate ways and is no longer kind of protecting things. And Bruce is kind of like, yeah, screw you. I'm going to do whatever I want. So I watched that as a kid. I never quite understood it. And then after years of watching the character, watching the development, understanding everything that went into his backstory, the tragedy, what drove him to do what he ended up doing. Batman's a tragic character, but he's a relatable character, kind of in a way. If we all had, billions of dollars and a lot of issues to go out and fight crime. So, Tom, I'm gonna kind of kick it over to you for a second because I'm kind of interested on who your top DC character favorite is.
So my favorite DC character, actually, he's been my favorite for almost, I can't believe, 20 years, was actually Green Lantern. It's funny, the first time I watched the Justice League cartoon, and I never really fully grasped what his deal was, what his power was. I also was a stupid kid, because when I've gone back and watched it, it's incredibly clear. But what got me interested in the character, there was this game back in 2008. It was called MK versus DC Universe. So the Mortal Kombat universe was merging with the DC universe. And I remember the game being fun, but I'm pretty sure it's not as good as I remember. And, it was funny because, I think it was only rated T. So, the fatalities were kind of weak. And then, because the heroes were in it, they weren't allowed to have fatalities. They had heroic brutalities. But Green Lantern was in it, and that interested me enough. Also because in this, Green Lantern was white. In the animated series, he was black. And then it was around the time, it's funny, in between, then when the 2011 movie came out, I had been kind of an established fan for a while. It's funny.
Is this the Green Lantern movie that should not be talked about?
Listen, what's funny? I used to listen to a Green Lantern podcast, and it's not their fault, but just in general, it's the people that care so passionately about Green Lantern, it's almost kind of made it unfun to talk about. It's like talking to people about politics, religion, and Star Wars. When you try to talk to this about the sequel trilogy. But I liked the movie. It's not great, but I thought that there was enough good stuff in it that they could have made better with a sequel. But obviously that's not the way they went, and we have this Lantern show coming up. But the thing that always drew me was the idea that it was with the ring, you can make anything you can imagine as long as you have the willpower to do it. And then as I started digging deeper, because when I was a kid, I would sit there and spend hours reading Wikipedia pages. And, they tell you that Wikipedia is not reliable because anybody can edit it. But conveniently, the same people that edit them, are also editing superhero pages. So I'm reading up on everything. Like I was reading up on Superman, I was reading Batman, Green Lantern, and then Green Lantern led to learning about the emotional spectrum. Like in the Green Lantern universe, there's every color of the rainbow is a different emotion, which I don't know, is will actually an emotion, but it's fascinating to me, at least. There's because green is the center, is will, and then as you go outwards on the rainbow, the farther out you go, the less you control the emotion, and more the emotion controls you. I could talk about Green Lantern for hours, and I won't. But
well, I could talk about Batman for hours, and I won't. One of my favorite interactions between our two characters. It's one of the newer Justice League movies that has come out. Kind of whenever DC was doing a little bit of a reboot a couple years ago.
Justice League War.
I think it is Justice League War. It was whenever Batman and Green Lantern meet for the first time, and they're in the sewer, and Batman and Green Lantern are walking, and Green Lantern's like, well, actually no, let me back up. Batman is trying to figure out who exactly Green Lantern is, and he just pulls the ring off of Hal Jordan's finger, and he's like, I assume this works by concentration. He's like, yeah, how do you know? And as his the Green Lantern powers of he's like, you were not concentrating. And then Green Lantern, he's like, he gets his ring back, and he's like, so what, are you just some guy in a bat suit? And Batman just turns around and just gives this crappy grin. It's just that is just the essence of the two characters. It's like Hal Jordan is he's kind of a wild card with Green Lantern, kind of a smartass, but very good at what he does. And it's his creativity and concentration, which then brings that Green Lantern to light. But then Batman comes around and is kind of like, I'm going to do whatever I want, and there's nothing you can do about it kind of deal. That whole, because they do put a lot of emphasis, especially I think in the Justice League universe, of Batman's intelligence. He is the most intelligent member of the Justice League, because I think they've said something and it was, I think, Justice League Unlimited. It's on Earth there's 3 level 10 geniuses. And Lex Luthor and Bruce Wayne are 2 of them. I can't remember who they say the third is. And then there's a couple other level 10 geniuses across the galaxy. But, they kind of mix that in a little bit there. I like Green Lantern. Not as, I can't say he might be in my top 10 as far as DC characters. Another one that I like is Green Arrow. He's kind of like your not as serious Batman character. Yes, he's another rich kid. He doesn't have as tragic story as Bruce Wayne. Just someone with a lot of money who wants to fight crime. Doesn't quite have all the... He has a lot of fun toys and stuff, but he's kind of pigeonholed into, I'm going to shoot this kind of arrow, and this one has gas in it that knocks you out. This one's an explosion. This one might have kryptonite. This one, I just like his character. And plus the fact that him and Bruce Wayne are they're both in the same Gotham world, where, they both have very big tech companies. They are kind of rivals in a sense, because Batman doesn't like Green Arrow because Green Arrow does whatever he wants, and he kind of steps on Batman's toes, and Green Arrow doesn't really care because he's going to do what he thinks is best. And then it's funny, whenever you go back into Dark Knight Returns, how Green Arrow, at some point, whenever the whole Justice League was going dark, is I think it was Superman actually cut off his arm.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Yeah. So, but at that point, they're both Bruce and Wally. They're older. They've aged. So they see each other on a much more kind of equal footing, and they kind of rely on each other a little bit. In that, I really like Green Arrow's character in the Justice League. The Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, because they kind of give him a little bit more of a central part in it, and he does strike up a little bit more of a relationship with some of the other characters. Still kind of like that loner, a little bit like Batman. Like, I'm going to go do whatever I want. You guys can tag along if you want, or hey, I'm going to crash your party because it looks like a good time kind of deal. So, those are my my two favorites. And then there's a lot of other characters. Pretty much anything that has to do with the Batman family, because you keep expanding it. You have, of course, you have Robin, but then you have Nightwing. Dick Grayson, whenever he kind of goes out on his own and kind of gets out of Batman's shadow a little bit. All the different Robins, and all the different stories that they go through. And then there's, I think it was Batwing, Batwoman, Batgirl, all the different animations continue to bring them out, in the movies a little bit too. And actually, I can't believe I forgot about this when I was talking about it earlier, and actually I'm very excited that both my kids, I have two boys, who are, they're elementary school aged. They love and watch the movie Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I love that. Growing up, you never would have thought about, what is the fight? What are two characters that we absolutely want to see go all out at each other? And I don't think I could have ever have guessed Batman and Shredder. It's not the fight we needed, but it's the fight we deserved. And whenever, they fight twice in that movie, and they actually kind of equal out. It's very impressive with it. So, I could talk forever about Batman. And as I continue to talk, I'm remembering more and more about, movies and animations and certain scenes that just kind of really meant a lot to me. As we kind of go through the characters. So, and it's same with you with Green Lantern.
Yeah, you were talking about Green Arrow. I don't know where I would rank Green Arrow. I like that character too. He actually has a close relationship with Green Lantern. Also, the three is like him, Green Lantern, and the Flash, or like the quote lesser known trio. Like if Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman get looped together, those three also get roped together. They had a series together called Hard Traveling Heroes, and it was really interesting because it was kind of controversial because they kind of tackled. They tackled like serious world issues. Like it's been so long, but the biggest one was a story called, I think it's Snowbirds Don't Fly, and it's got the most, probably the most recognizable cover. It's Hal Jordan and Oliver Queen walking into the room, and they catch Green Arrow's sidekick Speedy shooting up heroin. And then it's funny. We talked about its favorite DC characters, but we kind of keep talking about the same three. But when you were talking about the movies, what really surprised me, I gotta say, I was surprised how much I liked Ben Affleck as Batman.
That really surprised me too. Yes, I agree with you.
When they first announced it, I remember my cousin sent me an article on Facebook. It was like, "What do you think about this?" And when I opened it, I told her, I was like, honestly, when I saw this, I was hoping this was clickbait. And because then also at that same time, I remember hearing rumors that they were like, "There's going to be a Robin. Robin's going to be played by Justin Bieber," and but then I thought,
Thank God that ended up not being true.
I thought that Ben Affleck ended up being like probably one of the best parts of all those movies. Batman v Superman and Justice League.
See, I think whenever you have a character to play Batman, yes, of course, Batman is the main character, but you also have to find that actor who could also play Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
Now, you had Michael Keaton, who can definitely play both roles. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I mean, yes, Ben Affleck is another one. George Clooney was able to pull off both roles very well.
Okay.
I thought George Clooney played a very good Bruce Wayne, and he played a decent Batman. I think, I'm not knocking his performance. I just, whenever you're going up against everyone else, Val Kilmer, I'm sorry, God rest his soul, is kind of at the bottom of the list for me. As far as actors who've played Batman, but it wasn't like it was. I think he was a good Batman in a bad Batman movie. Batman Forever was just not a. I watch it because it's Batman. I enjoy it, but it was just not a good Batman movie.
It's funny, since we've kind of just spiraled into an all Batman conversation. I was apparently I read this somewhere that Robin Williams was trying to be in the Batman movies. Apparently,
he would have been a great Riddler.
So, well, that's what I heard. If I remember it correctly, they said that like he kept auditioning for roles in the movies, and like last minute just ended up getting passed over. Like I think he tried to be. He may have tried to be the Joker. I don't know, but I do know it was the Riddler, and then they passed on him, and then they passed on him for another movie because I remember when they were doing the Dark Knight Rises or the Dark Knight movies. I don't remember which one. Robin Williams was like, "Please, just put me in one of them, any of them. I've been trying to do this for years."
Yeah.
And I don't know that. I mean, actually, no, I don't know. Maybe Robin Williams would have fit into the Dark Knight movies. He is a surprisingly dramatic actor.
Yes,
just watch.
Is. I think he could have been a good Scarecrow.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. I think he would have been a great Riddler. Jim Carrey, I think, was a great fit for that role. To be honest, I love Tommy Lee Jones as an actor. He's been in so many great movies, but his take on portraying Two-Face, I think, was what ruined that movie for me. Two-Face is a very unpredictable character. I mean, because that is his origin. He's two split personalities. But, those personalities are very, they're both very serious and dark. And Tommy Lee Jones' portrayal was not that whatsoever. I think he was trying to still kind of like be Jack Nicholson's Joker.
Okay.
And it was just too much in my thoughts.
I also love hearing about how apparently not Jack Nicholson, Tommy Lee Jones hated Jim Carrey. Like apparently,
I've heard that
off
yes.
screen, like they would not interact.
I could see that. It shows there was not much chemistry between the two.
Yeah.
So that does add up.
And again, since this kind of just became an all Batman conversation.
Well, not all. Maybe 70-30.
Yeah. Well, but one other Batman thing I loved. You ever see the show Batman Brave and the Bold?
Yes. Oh, I watched every episode of that.
I know I have. It's been a long time, but I love that Batman.
I do too.
I don't care that it's not super serious. I loved just some of the writing was really clever. Like one thing I think about regularly was I can't remember who the team.
They had a lot of Green Lantern in that series.
They
too.
do have quite a bit Green Lantern, but
and Blue Beetle. They're like the recurring characters.
yeah, but he was fighting. I think the character's name was like Babyface or something. He was
yeah.
And then the character had like a bunch of random side characters, and one of them, I think the character's name was like Man Lady. She was like, and Batman goes up to her and she's like, "You wouldn't hit a lady, would you? The hammer of justice is unisex." Just, I don't know why I've always, I mean, not to say that I'm like, not to say that I want to hit a woman, but I want a reason to use that line. I don't know why. It was just so perfect. The hammer of justice is unisex.
It was, yes, that series was kind of corny, but that's what made it so great. It was kind of like they found a nice even ground between the darker Batman and the really eccentric, funny, stupid Batman. They did great with the characters. I completely love, everyone craps on Aquaman as like the least useful member of the Justice League. Even though the Aquaman movies were good, in my opinion. But, they brought him in as just this completely ridiculous character in Batman, the Brave and the Bold, and it was funny, and I loved it.
And the episodes with the Music Meister, played by Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I guess
we
gotta be cutting it close, so... all right, so, engagement. If you're listening to us on the podcast apps, please rate and review. If you are watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe. But also leave a comment down below. What's your favorite DC character, or what? We primarily talked about Batman and Green Arrow, or Green Lantern and Green Arrow.
See,
but
I'm slowly converting you.
If you have, thoughts or opinions, leave them down below. Podcasts, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. You can find on YouTube, all as Two Guys Questionable Credentials. We have a Facebook page of the same name. If you feel like you need to reach out to us, we have an email. It's twoguysnocred@gmail.com. And I guess we will see you next time. Goodbye. All right, that's the show. Thanks for hanging out with us for another episode of Two Guys Questionable Credentials. If you laughed, learned something, or are now somehow more confused than when you started, then we've done our job. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tell a friend or an enemy. We're not picky. And remember, everything discussed here is just conversation, speculation, and two people confidently wandering through topics they may or may not fully understand. Please take none of this as legal, medical, or emotional advice. We'll see you next time.